Hello, 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 and welcome. I am very excited to bring to you today Hearts of Iron 4 Arms Against Tyranny. We begin by looking at this brand new menu screen that they've created, and I have to say I like it quite a lot. The night sky and the atmospheric fire in the background really builds the kind of pressure of the incoming war that you're going to have to face. Of course, the question is, what are we going to be doing today? So I thought we'd address something that this channel has often been found to do, and it is going to be no different today, and that is a formable nation, a classic formable nation, the Nordic Union as Sweden. As we begin, I have no intention of really playing this game out until the late game. The goal is to see how you can form the Nordic Union as Sweden, and how easy it's going to be with all the new focus trees and the new additions to the game. Oh look, our land is now demilitarised. It has like a little red line going around it. Looking at the Nordics as we see them here, it's not too unsimilar a sight to what we would have seen before Arms Against Tyranny. I guess our land has been demilitarised. The real notation is over here, Iceland. So this is a new playable country at the start of the game, and believe it or not, it also comes with its own focus tree. Of course, we're not really here to see Iceland's focus tree, we're here to go through Sweden. So, we want to form the Nordic Union, and the way we're going to have to do that is by starting with Defence Act, and moving down over here to do a very faithful old school path, the monarchy path. With that, let's take Defence Act. In terms of national spirits, you do start with quite a few now, but there are only two you really need to worry about at the beginning. The first one is Folkhemmet. This gives you a huge debuff to war support and military factory building, but big buffs to civilian factory building. So make sure you're building civs at the start of the game and not wasting construction on mills. The reason this is so important is because the other national spirit you have to be wary of, Hungerskjold. If you have lower than 65% stability, you're going to get some pretty hefty strikes. That's going to damage factory output, it's just going to kill your country. But in order to remove it, we need 40 civs. So it looks like we're going to be building quite a few civs at the start of the game. Research is pretty much still the same though. Got my industrial electronic build up and running. With all that being said, let's hit play. So how is the Nordic Union looking these days? Proclaim the Nordic unity. Well, it's still an old-fashioned formable nation decision, same with the Kalmar Union, and all of the conditions are exactly the same. So we just have to get Norway, Denmark, and Finland. Oh, and also Iceland. Yeah, we're going to need to get Iceland too. With Defence Act done, you're going to have to consider if you want to get rid of your current country's leader. You'll be given 3 options to choose from, but the one I want to go with is Frodo Gosta Baggins. It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. It's at this point in the focus tree I would like to get started on heading towards our monarchy path, located down here, but unfortunately to take the next focus we're going to need 10% world tension and 10% war support, neither of which I think we're going to be getting anytime soon. So for that reason, we're probably going to be heading down the central industrial path. Urbanization away. Okay, so in what might be an unusual twist, we're going to be going into air pretty early on, and we're going to be picking up aircraft construction, because it gives us an opportunity to show off the new military industrial organisations. One thing they allow us to do is for 0.1 political power per day, we get a plus 15% research bonus on whatever it is we want to research. So in this case, this is going to be slightly faster to get some planes up and running. Oop, it looks like Frodo Baggins is up for election this time. I think Baggins will lead us into the future. I have full confidence in him. Next up we've got poverty reduction, giving us 1 civ, a bit of stability, and continues us down the path of getting rid of Hungerskjold. It seems so far that a lot of Sweden is quite a chill, just building up your industry gameplay. Not too dramatic, and since you're locked out of going down the more kind of aggressive paths due to 10% wall tension and war support, You are made to kind of do this, it's the intentional way of playing. Some people may choose to support state-paid vacations, but I don't really think the political power gain or the stability matches up with the amount of consumer goods factories it requires. I'll just take some factory output and call it a day. And finally, do you want to accept the Salzgitter-Baden agreement or do you want to reject it? Accepting it seems to be the case that you're doing like war penalty reduction, but rejecting it, now that is war support, and we need war support. And finally, for all our hard work, a delicious research slot. Oof, look at that. We're just chilling at a 7% world tension. We're getting pretty close to the 10 that we need to be able to take the old enemy stirs and get down to monarchism. But maybe speed up that process. I'm going to be heading towards Form Saab, which should modify Folkhemet to give us plus 16% war support, and by the time we have that, we should be good to go. I guess with this extra research slot we can go get some marines. Hoorah! With the more utility we find with our military-industrial organisations from researching things, we can get traits to better improve the equipment that we're producing in these specific categories. So with our Saab we're doing planes, and I think I'd like more production efficiency for what we have planned with our planes. In terms of artillery, you can actually get plus 10% breakthrough on artillery, and that's pretty good because, as you can see here, we have some artillery. Once we upgrade to the next type of artillery, we can actually set the manufacturer to start adding on that 10% breakthrough onto the artillery when we produce it. So just something to bear in mind, they're pretty minor buffs, but once you stack them up, they can be pretty useful. With Form Saab complete, we now have 18% war support, as I've decided to start exercising some navy in the Gulf of... Oh my, that's changed its name, it's now called the Gulf of Bothnia. Oh, and the Gulf of Finland. Even more changes. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I'm not sure if that's the choice of word I want to go for there, but unfortunately, the Japanese haven't begun their war for China, so we're going to have to delay just by 35 days and maybe pick up some ball bearings. Not all is lost though, because this is part of a side project I have been working towards. So, interwar small airframes, stay with me, they require two aluminum, and one rubber. But if you have researched those original plane modules we got at the start, you can get non-strategic materials usage -2 aluminium. No aluminium required. Then we can stick on a very cheap light machine gun, and this is now our giga cheap plane, the Baggins. It's at this point we can now, as we're producing it, apply those bonuses we got from researching things earlier to decrease how much it costs, the production cost, and increase the production efficiency gain. These are some cheap planes indeed. And we're going to be letting these build in the background. We just need a little bit of rubber. Okay, with ball bearings done, I'm hoping at some point in the next 10 days we're going to see, thank you very much Japan, that is above 10% world tension, we're above 10% war support, and we can get started on the old enemy stirs and see about forming a monarchy. This is part 1 of Sweden done. So, we begin part 2, the armament, where Sweden must go from being one nation into one much larger nation under a new king. So with the old enemy stirs upon its completion, we get some decent army experience, as well as getting started on our doctrines, and we remove neutral foreign policy. That old enemy being the bear of Stalin, but I guess he comes later. We do want to prevent a red dictatorship. So in case the alarm bells haven't been going off yet, we have actually dipped below 65% stability, which means that in 72 days we're going to be getting countrywide strikes from Hungerskald. That is unfortunate. You may be wondering what my plan is to deal with it. There's no plan. We are getting the strikes. Maybe we can alleviate this issue by, I don't know, giving some ball bearings to the UK. So should everything go right, we get different options to what we get with the ball bearings. I think the key thing I want to go for is the foodstuffs, so that we gain the +2 stability and the 15 weekly manpower. It doesn't seem a lot, but have you seen how much manpower this country has? Nothing. Oh, they accepted. Wow, a plethora of manpower is on the way. With 122 army XP, maybe it's time we consider stepping our toe into getting a land doctrine. And I guess maybe under the circumstances we'd think superior firepower, maybe grand battle plan for some good invasions. I'm gonna be honest, I'm deciding between mobile warfare and mass assault for one reason, and it's right at the bottom. It's gonna be the recruitable population. 5% on this side, and combined you get 5% on this side. Sweden has no manpower. We decided not to go the way of Germany. Probably for the best. But if you are going to go down the monarchy path, you might want to go ask the people if they actually want to become a monarchy. It seems like Austria may have just gotten Anschlussed, and I'm getting a little bit worried because I'm still in a gun deficit. I think it's time we check out a new feature, the international market. So, very simple stuff here. This is the contracts. We've got nothing going on. Here's market access with 33 countries. We can see them all here and kick anybody out that we don't like. We have the option to buy equipment. This is all the equipment that's available in the markets we have access to, and we need to go find some guns. So this could be done in 7 months, or we can dedicate, let's say, 3 factories, have it done in 3 months. I think I'm going to go 4 factories in 2 months. After hitting accept, we wait for them to agree. They said yes, and then going back to our main screen, we can now see that the contract is getting sent over. Of course, losing those civs is kind of killing my soul, I'm not going to lie, which is why we came up with a genius idea. You might have noticed in this long list of things, nobody is selling planes. The AI just doesn't do it. Oh, guns they'll sell, trains they'll sell, convoys, even some Czech tanks are making it to the market. They just don't sell planes. We're going to fill a gap in the market. Adding equipment to the market, we've been building some cheap baggins. And all 60 of them are going onto the market. We control the market, so we should be able to stick them at a pretty high price and people should probably pay for them. Oh yeah, we've just got word from Colombia. They want to buy them. So yeah, making really terrible planes, which aren't even made of aluminium, is possibly an interesting strategy. 2 new offers, you say? Czechoslovakia wants some planes? By all means. The Switzerland, of course you can have some. Big deals going out there, big deals. And we even managed to get our Belgium contract completed pretty quickly. So if you choose to, you can speedrun these. But these friends have decided to go with the long-term deliveries. 10 months for the Czechoslovakia. They do not have 10 months left. I'll be interested to see if this contract sees its full potential lift out. During a secret gathering at the King's Palace in Stockholm, leaders of various nationalist movements have met with the monarch to see Sweden restored to its former glory. It is not too late for our great nation. Can you feel it? Can you feel the preparation as Sweden slowly makes its way down? I do have to say though, in generic Sweden, we would have probably already kind of been going after Norway and Denmark at this point. So Scandinavia would have been well on its way. With 100 Navy XP, you could be led to believe that you have some naval doctrines to do, but not us. We've got Marines to do, and that's exactly what we're going to do. With 150 political power, we're going to be moving it on up to limited conscription. This does pain me, but I'm sure we'll talk about it at the end of the video. And with the power invested by us, let's make sure Gustav has full control. It's time for Frodo Baggins to maybe go back home. God save the king. And his very trendy glasses. Look at those glasses. Very trendy. Okay, now this is where the fun begins. With king in council done, we can move down to the counter-revolution. And it is here that the actual, Swedish focus tree opens up its true potential. So we've got lots of things to play with, and it's kind of like a mini Germany, I feel like. The difference is you start it pretty late in 1939. We might want to get started on Finland. These demilitarized islands have been demilitarized for far too long. Oh, Finland just gave over the islands. Now that they've given us the islands, one might expect on our path to Nordic unity to just, prepare to go to war with them. But in a kind of odd shift, we're not going to do that at all. We're going to go get ourselves a faction. Finland joins the Swedish-Finnish Defence Agreement. Now that is a shift in some history right there. The dong has met the balls. With Finland secured in a kind of obtuse way, we now need to decide, do we want to go for the Baltics or do we want to join the anti-Soviet pact? I think in my head we need to get on board with the anti-Soviet pact, not because I care about the Soviet Union or anything, it's because if you do so, you get a sphere of interest with Germany and they're not going to attack Denmark or Norway for 1.5 years. That should give us enough time to do the other focuses to get Norway and Denmark. Siam literally just agreed for a contract to buy 1 plane. 1. Goodness me. Bulgaria only wants 1. I guess they just want a private plane or something. With the Narvik crisis completed, Norway just agrees to give me the north of their land. I guess the alternative was getting annexed. Whatever the case may be, they pretty much always accept. Sweden seems to have a pretty non-combative gameplay, similar to Germany, where they just get Austria and they get Bohemia, and nobody really stops them. This is why I called it like a mini German focus tree. And with that, the German Reich has declared war on Poland. Denmark has decided to give up the small little island of Bornholm, and I think part 2 is over. Part 3, World War II, has begun. Okay, so World War II, where do we fit into this? I think, as this naval invasion may appear, we have the option to go get ourselves a couple of Baltics. But with 0 manpower, this fight is going to be, not the easiest in the world. To help alleviate this, we can actually delete some units, and in terms of the land we have up here, we can just turn off the garrison. There's no factories or anything up here, so I'm not worried about losing anything. Good luck to Poland. What's going to be really important for this war, I think, is making sure that the second the focus completes, we go after Latvia. With the declaration of war on Finland by the Soviet Union, the League of Nations has come to an end. Yeah, so something we may want to do to avoid getting caught up in that is saying goodbye to Finland. And stop. So, in a joint mix, we now have our war goal on Latvia, and the Soviets have been air raiding in northern Sweden. Now, we could escalate the situation, but let's not anger the bear. We're busy anyway, stealing their Baltics. Oh, finally, hunger has finally ended. We were able to get a good landing on the west side. Oh, and the Soviets gave us a civ. Let's see if... Oh, yes. Okay, once you've got Riga, it should be, hopefully, pretty straightforward at this point. Let's just make sure we clear up the west where we can. Okay, going pretty quickly. Wow, we really cleared up Latvia pretty easily there, despite the lack of manpower. I think that was almost a blitzkrieg. They really were not prepared. They've kind of got all their units stacked here, and I'm just going to keep pinning them all on that one tile until we can claim the final victory points that we need. Yeah, sorry about that, Latvia. Okay, with Latvia taken, now we just have to go get Estonia. Finland are making some decent pushes, but they might have gotten themselves encircled in their ambition. Okay, let's take out Estonia. If we can take Tartu, we can actually encircle Voru, and that should be a couple of victory points taken easy peasy. It seems like we're getting some green on this front, and Finland and the Soviet Union have decided to make up. Well, never miss a good opportunity for a free war goal, that's what I say. Of course, remember that we took the focus to form a faction with Finland, so there's no free puppeting. It's going to have to be an old school war goal. This war is looking a little bit dicey, not going to lie. But we do have a landing, and that's usually a good start. Oh, even better than a landing, we have a port. Now we just need a capital. It looks like the capital is going to be taken, maybe? 70? I mean, everything else is, for the most part, pinned down. Okay, a breakthrough in the centre. That means these units are encircled. The capital was taken. Thank goodness. I was genuinely worried they were going to, like, join the Comintern or something there. Right then. One more puppet, I think. Wait. What? The Soviets can take it anyway? Despite the fact that I just fought? I just fought for this territory, and the Soviets yoinked it from me anyway. They were a puppet. Oh, now that is an outrage. That is a complete outrage. Are they going to take Latvia too? Okay, well, that war might have been for nothing, but hopefully we can get a Norway. With Swedish Norway now under our belt, we can actually request their soldiers to fight for us without necessarily having to call them into a war, which is good because I need somebody to garrison the northern front against Finland. In fact, we can make this even easier for ourselves. Now that we know that Norway is basically on our side, why don't we just give them back the territory? It gives us a smaller border to fight the Finnish on, but the Finnish, as you can see, same with us, are still going to have to fight them on it because they don't know if I'm going to call in Norway or not. I'm not going to, but they don't know that. So that means they're going to be sticking troops on this northern border, which is going to be completely useless for them. Demand Atlantic resource rights seems to be about resource rights, but so far as I can see, it just means that Iceland is now our puppet. How many resources they have? Well, I guess Sweden. I guess Greenland has some aluminium. Only one more nation to get, and that's going to be Denmark. As for the imminent war with Finland, my plan is really just hoping that my naval invasions can carry the front, and eventually we're going to be getting some troops from Denmark, so maybe they can help. The war for Finland has been justified. Good luck, everyone. Okay, they did garrison that port. That is most unfortunate. The good news is we actually got a landing, which means it's time to push. I feel like these guys could be pushing a little bit more enthusiastically. Come on, lads, it's already started. Uh-oh. Germany cancels their non-aggression pact with us. But I was just microing in Finland. I was minding my own business. Let's see if we can't fix that by getting somebody with some diplomatic training to maybe ease some tensions. The fate of Denmark. What do they say? Do they accept? Are they in? Oh, they are very much so in. That's really good because I think I could use 7 troops on a front I'm currently working on. So please, by all means, come join us in Finland. The video is actually coming to an end soon because, well, all we've got left to do is get Finland and then unite this absolute mess. But there is something we have to do first. So the Swedish-Finnish defense whatever is a faction we formed earlier from this focus instead of getting Finland. The reason we did this is so that we can have access to form the Northern League. This is the joint focus tree that they added. I really wanted to make sure everything I could possibly think of gets mentioned in this video. This is really good because it gives us 0.7 political power gain, and if we're going to unite the Nordic Union, we're going to need a lot of political power. Oh! We did it! We capitulated them. I literally didn't even get to see which victory point tipped us over the edge. We had reached up to this line, and I just decided to start pushing around this bend, and I think that's what tipped us over. Okay, well, there's no reason to puppet them this time. Okay, now that is a strong-looking Sweden. As for Germany eventually wanting to come after Denmark and Norway, how about we refresh that non-aggression pact? Thank goodness they added diplomatic pressure. Really, thank goodness. It's keeping Germany at bay. Oh, so they let me keep Latvia, but they just steal my puppet Estonia. Okay, sure. I can't even tell if this is intentional, that they were allowed to steal my puppet. That feels so broken. The joint focus tree begins, and with it we're at 2.45 per day without taking a focus. Unfortunately, even though you can take the original focus, it seems that none of the other focuses are unlocking. I'm not sure if this is intentional behaviour, But honestly, all I need for this playthrough is the top one, just to give me the political power to finish off what we're doing. The final focus of importance is Det från Nordska riket. This will give us the ability to integrate all of our puppets, and then click the final decision. Germany wants resource rights, do they? Well, as long as they don't attack me, fine by me. With the focus complete, Sweden turns into a much darker shade of blue. Kind of spooky. The German Reich appears to be justifying against us. Well, that very well may be the case, but I've got until 1941. So they're not doing anything. I'm guessing that the 1.5 years time I was given after that focus finally came to an end. With 240 political power, we can now integrate Norway and Denmark at the same time. They should now be done at the same time. The reason I didn't do one when it was available to me is because then we'd have to sort of have the uncored territory, which we have to garrison and stuff, and that's just annoying. Oh, I almost forgot, we have to make sure we integrate Iceland, just so that we can form the Nordic Union. The decision itself actually doesn't mention that, like when you look here, it says control all Danish states, but the Danish state it also means is Iceland, because they used to not exist at the start game. Okay, there was no great ceremony, but wow, we just integrated Norway and Denmark, and that means we can do the Kalmar Union, back to blue. I guess we were blue both times. The unification of Scandinavia. Oh, we're a wholesome kingdom. Of course, we're still going for Nordic unity. And, as I said earlier, controls all Danish states. Well, we do control all Danish states. Iceland, despite not being a core or anything, we still need it. I cannot believe it. Is that manpower in my manpower pool in 1941? I never thought I'd live to see the day. Truly I didn't. And to cap things off, I think it's going to be goodbye Iceland. Which means, putting an end to all the Finnish hostility I've been dealing with, proclaim Nordic unity. The Nordic League. Unification of the Nordics mean the unified North will stand strong. This faction has now been renamed to the Northern League. We love to see it. And that is basically where I'm going to end this video. Prepared to go to war with the Soviet Union with this newly acquired army. The manpower. Oh, look, there they are. Just on time. The manpower I have, pretty weak. Let's say it. But yeah, I think that's it. And it's time to wrap up this video. Okay, so just some closing thoughts about the new DLC and where I stand with it, because this is of course the first video I'm releasing with Arms Against Tyranny. Sweden, I think, has got a pretty good focus tree. Maybe not the best in the game, but I've only kind of covered, let's say, maybe about 40% of what is potentially the focus tree. This section of the Swedish focus tree is really good, really well done. I feel like doing more stuff like that has always proved to make some of the better focus trees. If you look at Italy, for example, their foreign affairs tree is easily one of the best things that came with the previous DLC. So having Sweden have something similar is pretty good. I am a fan of the international market. It does appear like everybody really wants to sell like normal stuff like guns and artillery, but nobody wants to buy it. There's just too much of a surplus. And I wonder if making some nations kind of manually have more priority to buy stuff over build stuff could shift up this meta. But I've had this support equipment on the market for ages and nobody wants to buy it. The planes, however, people love to buy the planes. Even now, I'm selling planes to Greece. I guess the elephant in the room is how does it compare to the previous Sweden with the generic focus tree in terms of forming the Nordic Union? Nordic League in this case. I've got to say, it definitely feels weaker. Maybe late game you can get some strength out of it, but the elephant in the room is previously you were able to get militarism and military youth to get 7% recruitable population very early on, and that means you could actually fuel the conflicts that you were getting into. In this version, you just never have manpower. Like, I have been thinking, what's the best way? Imminently, I'm going to get 150 political power, and I should be able to move up to extensive. But you're using all your political power to like integrate countries and deal with the appeal for support and all this other stuff that, yeah, I do feel like the manpower situation is a little bit weak. Even imminently, I'm trying to get down to human wave offensive for 5%. So times are a little hard, but maybe in the late game you can pull it back. Of course, this strategy is very repeatable, super repeatable, and I think pretty much anyone can take advantage of it. Just remember, when it comes to Germany, make sure that you time your focuses correctly, and if you feel like they're up to something bad, you can diplo pressure them and ask for a non-aggression pact to keep them at bay. Right, now I've just got to go deal with the Soviets, but I'll leave us there. I'll say thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, and if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Also in the comments section, tell me what kind of stuff you want to see me do next. I usually read every single comment. Okay, thanks again. And that's me done. Bye.